about it is the thing. You
Oh,
can't
right.
control it. It's happening with or without you, Gareth.
Yeah.
However you feel about winter doesn't matter. It's going to happen. So just get into the groove of things. You've had 40 something years to adjust.
Yeah.
It's not new.
I hate getting old, and I hate winter. I've said I hate a lot for the first 5 seconds of the show, right?
Welcome to the show.
I didn't sleep properly last night. This is the problem.
Sorry.
No. Listen, we all have nights like that. So I got into bed. I was like, I'm going to try and get to sleep. I was in bed at, I don't want to lie to you, 8 o'clock, 8:30. That's early for me.
Early.
Right? Right?
No, that's generally early.
Yeah.
Not just for you, like in life, that's early.
So I'm lying in bed, and I'm genuinely trying to, because I've got an interview I have to do today. So I'm reading this book by anyway, I just wasn't enjoying the book. Then I'm lying there, just I can't get to sleep. So now I'm watching the clock. It goes 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
That's the worst.
It goes 12 o'clock. So now I'm working out in my head. Okay, so I can do 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to kind of 4:30-ish. So it's maybe 4 hours. If I'm fall asleep right now, I'll be okay. And we've got a lot to do today. It's not just this show.
Exactly. So what time did you eventually sleep?
About 1, and then I woke up and I was like, oh no.
I just slept like a minute ago.
Yeah, and I had to rush because anyway, I don't want to bitch and complain to everybody the whole way through the show, but just so you know, not all of us are these happy people all the time, all right? Not one of these people who's going to get on this show every morning, and you know this about me already. If you've been listening for more than 5 minutes, you know this. I don't get on here and bullshit you that every day is a great day, and that every day I'm happy and optimistic, and that every day I'm just full of the joys of spring, because there's no spring right now.
Yeah.
We're heading into winter.
It's okay. And that's what we can appreciate about this place. It's a real place. We're not coming up pretending. Days aren't the same, Gareth, and it's okay to be your real self. If it's a sucky morning, it's a sucky morning. We own it, but also we keep it moving. We don't live in that.
Well, you're right. Got to keep on moving.
Keep on moving.
All right. So, how are you?
I'm tired. Oh my gosh.
There we go. See, it's not just me. Bring it on.
I am tired. No, so my alarm has been tripping for like the past 4 days.
Is it it's an electronic one?
It's an electronic alarm. Like there's beams all over the house. If anybody walks past, woo. And
I thought you meant your alarm clock. I was confused.
No,
Okay, you mean the
house alarm in the house.
Oh, that is so. In other words, it goes off and you wake up in a start.
Oh, dog. And the thing is,
and it wakes the kids.
No, it doesn't wake the kids, likely, because like we quickly switch it off. But the issue is we just got like an influx of a whole bunch of family visiting because it's like Easter-ish vibes. So pre-Easter.
You think there's someone stumbling around the house?
I don't think. I know. It's these kids. At some point on Saturday, there were like maybe 12 children running around there. I know somebody pressed something because that's when it started. And when the alarm goes off, the security company will call me. Then I have to put in a code and then they'll text me. And then after they text me, they call me again to confirm. So my phone's been going off and I keep saying to them, guys, something is wrong. It's tripping. Help me out. So needless to say, I also haven't been getting any sleep because this thing keeps tripping.
Yeah, you see, between you and I, if we put our sleep together, it's equal to one person's
literally necessary
sleep for
a couple of hours.
So in other words, if you're also feeling like shit this morning, then join us.
Join the club. Call us and tell us why you're feeling like crap.
It's like a support system.
Yeah, maybe we'll feel better.
Oh man. Anyway.
But other than that, I'm okay.
I also have to say, these 4-day week things, it's not a good, I don't like it.
It's messy.
I'll tell you why I don't like it. Because we squeeze everything now into the 4 days. Dog. So instead of the 5 days where it's a little more, you can pace yourself. No way.
Now it's like rush.
Yeah.
Because like you're chasing these deadlines because you don't have a full Friday. So I feel like let's either just do 4-day weeks and that's like life, or like let's just like forget it. Because it's very confusing. It's very confusing because not everybody's able to like understand it and manage it.
So basically, Lebang and I are like two bears with sore tits this morning. So
help us.
Yeah.
Get us out of our misery.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And by the way, Ryan did have to run in here and like unmute something because I was being stupid. So he wasn't wrong.
Yes.
You know? At least he's paying attention.
Somebody has to.
Yeah. All right. We got a lot to get into today. We got African analysis coming up a little bit later on. We're also going to spend a bit of time with a guy who I met the other day with you, Lebang, for the first time ever, Velingubane, who is the co-founder of an agency here in South Africa, which has just done amazing work over the last while. He's their chief creative officer. I love talking to people like this.
Yeah.
And this guy's got a really nice life story. He's so much fun to listen to.
He is, right? And like it just comes out of him.
You know, sometimes when you meet people, you're like, okay, great. Well, let's see if we can do some work together. Bye. With this guy, I was like, you got to get in the studio. I want people to hear about what you've done, where you come from. And it was funny because you and he were talking about kids.
Actually, I think when we met him that very weekend, he had got a call. That week, he had got a call from his son's school because his son had bit someone. And I was like, oh my word, that is like story of my life. I remember experiencing that almost every year when my kids were in nursery. It's the name of the game. So off the bat, I was like, we have to get this guy in. Like, clearly, there's some energies here. And then like shortly after that, he was actually speaking on a panel at Advertising Week Africa. So I saw him again, and I'm like, bro, you have to come through and see us. And he was like, I'm coming.
Well, so he's going to be here a bit later on. But JJ Cornish before that with African Analysis in a couple of minutes time. So stick around for that. That's all coming up. We've got to talk about a lot of things.
A lot's happening in the world, Gareth.
Geez. Okay, so I mean, let's just hop right in here because we're doing our next uncancelled event. It's happening. It's happening sooner than you think. It's like less than 10 days from now. We're going to be doing it, and it's the 13th of April, which is a Thursday.
It's next week Thursday.
So yeah, Thursdays are good days for these things because, you know, people always have plans on a Friday. April's such a mess anyway. We thought, let's do it on a Thursday. We're going to have a great guest. I'm not going to reveal who that is yet. But I'm going to say that if you want to come, it'll be 6:30 for 7 p.m. And we're selling the tickets at 150 Rand. You know, we did that. We did some research.
Yes.
With the audience.
Find out what the people want.
We found out what people are prepared to pay, and then we gave it a discount. We thought, like, you know what, we're not going to charge people exorbitant amount. It's very limited.
Yeah.
Very limited tickets. So if you want to get in here, 150 Rand a seat. We'd love to have you. Contact at cliffcentral.com to book your place. We're doing this old school.
Yeah.
We're not going to do a whole ticketing system because it's
so few seats.
We've got maybe 30, 40 at a push 50 seats, and we don't want to overdo it because we're going to have drinks and snacks and nice little vibe going on here in our new place. Yeah. So it'll enable you, if you're a listener to this show, first of all, to come and see our new place.
Number one.
And get a little guided tour.
Sure.
It'll also allow you to be a part of a live event. And a podcast that'll be recorded. So you got to dress up and look snazzy.
Look snazzy.
Right?
Yeah.
And then we will welcome you. So 150 Rand a seat. We want you to book ASAP. Contact at cliffcentral.com.
Yeah,
that's the email address.
Just send your full name there, and I guess we'll contact you. It's so easy. Yes. And also, like, what I like is we're putting on a show, yes. But like, we are just coming as we are. We're our true selves. Like the way we present ourselves here is how we are in real life. You're not coming to meet a bunch of, you know, fake people. You're just coming to like meet people that you already engage with on the show, which is really nice.
Sunmarie, at our offices, you idiot. So Sunmarie is therefore banned. She's not coming. I'm not going to allow her through the door.
Oh, come on.
KB says, does the ticket include a bev? Yes.
Yes, bev's included, KB.
Right. I mean, we're not going to hand out like, you know, glasses of Johnny Blue whiskey, but
sure.
You know, there's going to be some beer and wine.
There'll be a couple of It's not our first rodeo. We got you.
Right.
Yeah.
Wish you could also do live events in Cape Town. Yeah, we're going to work on that as we go forward. We'll see how it goes. Congo Chris says he dreamt of the rolling green valleys of the Transkei. People I've met before but wish I could call friends, and a promotion I've applied for. So I'd like to ask, do you believe in prophetic dreams? Good heavens. Well, here we hardly slept.
And
Congo
here
Chris is having this
living your best life.
He's having like an out-of-body experience.
That's so nice.
Hanging out with Jay says, I had such a good sleep. Just under 8 hours. Fuck, it was good. The key was to sleep alone, not someone touching me. Well,
taking notes.
I sleep alone, but I still couldn't sleep. So that's not the only key. Tell you that much. And don't worry, Ricky. No, Mash will not be preparing the snacks.
Mash is banned from any fires, any gas, anything that involves, heat. He is no longer welcome. It's even microwaving food. We don't even trust him with that anymore. So worry not.
All right. We got lots to do. Let's get it into the story of, when this whole AKA thing broke, I immediately thought, oh, this poor restaurant.
Yeah.
And I know that's not everybody's priority to think about that, but I just suddenly thought these poor people who run this place, you don't know. It's like when, for example, there's, a crime is committed outside a restaurant, or, someone behaves badly, there's a fight, whatever it might be. I always feel sorry for the owners of these places because I always think these people didn't ask for this. They want to serve food and drink. They want to make some money. They work hard. They probably open up early in the morning, close late at night. And then they have this shit going on their front doorstep. It doesn't make things easy.
They literally just catching strays.
Yeah.
Literally.
Right.
Excuse that very sad pun. But they're just catching strays. They just there doing their job.
Right.
And shit is happening on their doorstep. I thought about all the families that work there and how they're going to get immediately affected by the fact that Wish now has to unfortunately close. It's just association. If you were on your first day as a waiter at Wish and now Wish is closing down, you're essentially screwed in a country that's got such a high unemployment. It's unfortunate.
Well, Florida Road's Wish. I mean, it's funny that the place is called Wish, and we've got that website Wish where you buy all that really cheap, nasty shit. I mean, it's not actually a great word anymore to associate with the restaurant. But anyway, this poor place, they're closing down. They are going to close for good on Monday, the 10th of April. It's a few months after the rapper, AKA, and celebrity chef Tibbs was shut down outside the restaurant. Pilani Kweyama, who's also known as Benny Maverick, announced on Instagram the company was closing. The statement read, "It is with great sadness that we will announce the imminent closure of Wish on Florida Road, effective 10th of April." Damn. Shame. They'll host the Last Supper, they're calling it.
That's so dramatic.
Oh, my God.
I'm here for the drama.
The restaurant is owned by two Black entrepreneurs who dedicated the last 3 years to building a successful business in Durban, winning Emerging Tourism Entrepreneur at the Durban Tourism Awards.
Shame.
It's horrible.
That sucks, man.
And it's hard enough to run a business. People coming shoot someone outside.
Shoot somewhere else, god damn it.
Right. How about we don't shoot people?
Let's start there.
A good start.
Let's start there. But
right.
as South Africa goes, well, not even South Africa, just the world. Can't avoid that.
No.
But it really does. It does suck for the owners of Wish. But they'll probably just rebrand, or these days you just have to shut down for a little while, find a better name, and just open up the studio again. Just keep it moving.
All right, so you've got an additional story on this.
Yeah. So, letting people rest. That's what we thought this whole thing was. Obviously, AK has passed for a while now. It's been, close to 2 months, maybe?
Yeah.
And, following his death, obviously his music started getting played more and people are paying homage more. So they're streaming his music more than they've ever done before. And in doing so, I would say a veteran, a musical veteran, Kaifa Semenya, who's really one of South Africa's most, famous jazz maestros. Yep. Actually, two of his songs were sampled by AKA. So while AKA was still with us, they bumped into each other at Universal Music or whatever. And AK went up to him and said, Ntate Kaifas, I'm so sorry. I know I sampled your song. I shouldn't have. Let's make it right.
Oh.
And then Ntate Kaifas was like, you youngsters, it's okay. You guys are just having fun. We'll make it right. Call my people. They'll call your people. So that was when he sampled the first song, which was, which one was it again? The Not All Eyes on Me, the other one. The very, very famous one. Anyway, so he sampled that one, demanded royalties. They said they'll sort it out. Following his passing, AKA's passing, there's a second song that AKA sampled, which is on his new album. So on this one, he didn't sample the beat, he sampled the lyrics and put it in one of his songs. So Kaifas is like, hi man, what's going on? We spoke about this and
you can't do this to me.
You can't do this to me.
So obviously a lot of people are going to be hopping on this bandwagon and they're going to be like, this guy is now just trying to get on the take because the songs are being played.
Yes. And it kind of looks like that, but it's not that. When you dial it back a bit, you realize that no, Ntate Kaifas had actually already spoken to AKA. It's just that AKA's team didn't follow up on it. And then they took it a step further and
because
still sampled the second song.
Let me guess, this wasn't written down.
No.
So it was
there's nothing in writing.
Conversations in the corridors.
He said, no paper trail, the huge. So anyway, Sony has been told, Sony Music, who are responsible for publishing and releasing all of AK's music, are now told that if you guys don't give Ntate Kaifas 50% of the royalties for these two songs, then your ass is grass. Which is like a lesson as well for these young guys in music. You can't
and also, you know what's going to happen, right? The lawyers are going to get involved now. And the only people who win in that situation are the lawyers.
100%.
So you're going to have all these lawyers and they're going to be
messy,
making arrangements and settlements and meetings and court dates and God alone knows what else. And then the lawyers end up scoring, not Kaifas, not AKA's family, nobody.
I mean, Kaifas is like, he's 83 now. You know, he's been retired for a while.
Give the man his money.
Just give him his money and let him just keep it moving. You know, it's like let him do his thing.
Especially if, you know, I hear so many artists sampling like older songs and they'll sample just a couple of bars from this tune, or they'll get like a vocal recording or whatever of someone who's long ago dead.
Yeah.
And I think the song wouldn't be the song if it wasn't for that.
Absolutely.
So you can't just take this.
You can't.
Kampamba's very like straight up about this in the comments. He's like, you cannot sample someone's music without permission. You cannot. Says it twice.
But it happens is the thing. And that's the thing about music, right? It's art at the end of the day. So if you get inspired by how somebody else put something together, you interpret it in a different way and then go forth and create your art. That's kind of what the cycle of art essentially is. We all get inspired by one another and how we all think and do things as creatives. But with something like music, you have to put into place these sorts of laws. Like if you're going to sample my work, that's fine. But give me my credit.
I can't even play like 5 seconds of a song on this show without YouTube slapping us with some kind of copyright restriction.
Exactly.
And usually, I mean, it's so bizarre because I see a lot of people on the internet getting away with this. I mean, for example, how does it work when people use on TikTok and Instagram like a song in the background?
Yeah, I think that.
But we can't use it?
We can't, yeah.
Very
we
weird.
can't, yeah. It's just the name of the game. And you know, with the internet like constantly evolving and like the rules constantly changing, we need to keep up with how do we actually get away with some of this stuff. And I think it's unfortunate because, I mean, I'd love to play music here. Like music, like while we sing and talking like, oh, Gareth, that's a great song, poop. But I know we can't because we're going to get into trouble with the big people at YouTube. Yeah. So it's pretty messy. I do hope they solve it. Like, just let AKA rest, man. It's not as though he completely wasn't aware of the fact that he was sampling, you know, Ntate Kaifas' songs, but the fact that he continued to do it is the problem, you know, and it's a lesson. I think this is just a lesson. There's too many young cats. Very recently, Focalistic had a similar issue with Mdu, where Mdu Masilela had to take him to court because Focalistic continued to sample his music.
I mean, you see this all over the music business. So it's constantly going on.
Yeah.
There are people suing each other over, you know, a certain melody that was written in 1960 something. And they go, oh, you can't just steal this from us. Anyway, I mean,
it is what it is.
It's very strange. Slippery Pickle says the music industry has no morals. People will steal your stems without batting an eyelid.
Yep. It'd be like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I also wanted to talk about something else.
Yeah.
Since we're getting into winter, we've got to prepare ourselves. I have not paid any attention to winter wardrobe. I never do.
Ish.
And now it's rolling around and I'm going to the cupboard in the mornings. I'm going, ooh, it could be cold. And there's like 3 things I can choose because I've really, you know. And also, I don't keep track of, I'm not buying expensive clothing. So I go to the cupboard and I look and I think, well, there used to be more in here.
Where's all your stuff?
Where's all my stuff? And I think, like the other day, I was looking for just a jacket to put over something because I thought it might be cold this evening or whatever.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find any jacket. And I thought, I'm sure I have jackets. So either I've left them lying around somewhere or they've been put away for winter or I don't know what's been going. Maybe people have stolen them, you know, for all. I don't know. You sometimes leave something on the back of a chair and then, you know, someone goes, that's nice. I'll take that.
Yeah, but like, where's your stuff, Gareth?
I don't know. But I'm going to have to, and I don't want to go and do it, but I'm going to have to go and buy one or two basic things. And listen, clothes shopping, not my favorite thing to do.
So I hear you on clothes shopping. I was in an Uber the other day, and the Uber lady who picked me up was like, "So what are your plans for winter? How are you prepping?"
Plans for winter?
Yeah, it's a thing. Because she was like dressed to the nine. Like she had like a scarf up to here, like a big furry coat.
People plan for winter?
Bro. So I'm like, I don't know. I'll see. You know, I'm just like figuring out what my options are. She's like, whatever you do, don't get a gas heater because, you know, with kids around, gas is very tricky. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I've got a fireplace. And she's like, yeah, but you know, with the fireplace, it's the same thing. You throw in the wood. What if the kids run into it?
Did you get Karen Uber?
I don't know.
Uber Karen?
I might have just signed up for that, but it
Uber
was
Orange?
definitely not. I wasn't willing. So I'm sitting there, and then she's like, I've got like the world's best advice for you. Convert everything to fleece. Everything you've got. Or your blankets, make them fleece blankets. Or your socks, get fleece socks. Everything. Or your clothes, make sure you've got...
That sounds like an expensive operation.
Look, when you think about versus constantly getting like a gas tank for your heater every 2 weeks versus getting chopping wood and having to sit there and make a fire all the time. And I unfortunately inherited this beautiful home that's got underfloor heating.
Oh,
so
you can't switch that on.
Bro, I'm screwed. It's messing up my electricity bill. So I'm
very bad.
I'm giving it some thought. I'm thinking about the fleece thing. As far as being prepped for winter, I might just go that route. So
nah.
Maybe.
Nah.
A little bit.
So we've had this conversation on the show before. You probably weren't around yet at that point. So but we've been through a couple of cold winters on the show. So the first thing that I heard, this is in the days of electricity being plentiful.
Okay.
Is that you want an air conditioning type unit.
Sure.
Uses less power and can warm the room quicker.
Yeah.
So you turn up the aircon to like
heat,
25, 26, 27 degrees, whatever it is. You put it on for a little bit. That'll warm the room up. Apparently, that's the most effective. But the next most effective
is,
and probably more cost effective, considering electricity, is gas. And you get gas heaters that, some of these things are very, very clever. They're very safe.
Yeah, the thing is, these tanks, like every 2 weeks, you're buying a new one. Sometimes once a week.
Well,
and if you've got a family as big as I do,
still cheaper than using those much worse electric ones.
Yeah, no.
Sorry. So you may be buying a new tank of gas every couple of weeks, but still better.
I've also got the air cons in all the bedrooms, which I also inherited, right?
Oh, this is a fancy ass house. The people who lived here before had lots of money to spend.
They were Jewish and they were amazing. They were awesome. But now the air cons need maintenance, blah, 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 blah. So I want to kind of switch off all the air cons, switch off all the underfloor, and just get like fleece blankets. I want to try it. Just see what the kids, because I hear you. If you live alone or blah, 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 fireplace, gas heater. But if you've got a bunch of kids running around, Gareth, I don't want that stress of what could go wrong.
Here now, Slippery Pickle's got some useful information here. So, aside from the really stupid name, Slippery Pickle says, Gareth, for the next time, maybe sign your hoodie before it gets stolen so it can be identified as yours, asking for a friend. So this is a good, I haven't thought about this since school. You know when your mother used to put like your name in the sports equipment.
I'm the mother still doing that. Yeah.
Okay. So Slippery Pickle's saying you should put labels on all your clothes. Do you do this with your kids?
I should. Definitely the school stuff. Yes. Not all the clothes that stay at home, but as far as like school stuff, absolutely. It goes without saying. There's even little stamps that you can buy where you just like literally sit there and stamp everything. Klim, 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 klim.
I'm thinking of doing this.
Stuff still gets stolen. Yesterday, my son took the wrong bag home. The wrong school, the whole bag. Yo, Gareth, you laugh. I fetch him. We get home. When we get home, he realizes, hold on, this isn't my bag. And it looks nothing like his bag. And the first thing I say is your bag not labeled? And he goes, oh, it's not. I'm like, but either way, luckily we drove back to the school and it was like right there by the security gate. But label your stuff as an adult in your 40s, please.
So what did you do with the other kid's bag?
We left it with the security gate. Because apparently that kid came running to security saying, oh, my bag, it's gone.
Right.
So we're just very lucky. But like, don't have kids. Oof. So label your stuff, Gareth. Do it.
Yeah, it's time for those labels like my mom used to put in my clothes when I was a kid. Best investment, says Carla, is a combustion stove fireplace. Instant and really highly economical. What is that? What is a
combustion
I mean,
stove.
that's like a normal fireplace, right?
Surely.
Listen, I have a fireplace at home.
Uh-huh.
And I love only a few things about winter. We've been down this road before. I don't want to repeat myself. I love fires.
Yeah.
They make winter bearable.
Yeah.
I like a warm bed, with like a nice big blanket and or duvet. That I like. I like winter cups of coffee.
Oh, yes.
You know, those are special. They keep you warm in the morning.
Yep.
And I like soup, which is all I eat through winter. So basically, I'm in the best shape of my life at the end of winter.
Of course.
Every year, end of winter, I look the best. I'm not one of those comfort eaters. And in winter, I'll eat vegetable soup for 3-4 days in a row.
Damn.
So I look like I look Oliver Twist.
More, please.
Yeah.
That seems like a vibe. I think I've seen a couple of pictures on your Instagram.
That's what I do.
Yeah, just like
and
fire.
Let me tell you,
blankets.
I make this is the only thing I'm proud of in the kitchen. I'm not good at any, I can braai meat that I'm good at.
Sure.
I can cook meat decently. Other than that, which is not if you asked me to make something that was truly a me thing, that's always good, soup.
Sure.
Winter soup. That's my thing.
That's your vibe. Okay.
Anyway, let's not jump the gun. It is still supposedly autumn.
Meh.
Have you ever cleaned your chimney, says Carl. I'm getting mine cleaned soon. It's quite important. Never thought about it until now. What, all the stuff that gets stuck? They used to have children who did that back in the like the 1890s, somewhere around. Do you remember? The chimney sweeps, right?
Yo, I haven't even looked up there. I don't know what's going on in there. I'm just like going with God, hoping for the best. But you've given me something to think about. Like, actually, what's going on in there?
How often do you have to clean a chimney? That's a good question. While we're doing domestic stuff.
Yeah, look at us.
While we're talking about heaters and air conditioners and underfloor heating. And what do you think? How many months have to go by? How many years before you have to clean your chimney out? Never thought about that.
Chimney 101.
All right. Anyway, lots of people hopping on board with this one, talking about how a combustion fireplace, says Carla, is a heavy iron thing that completely seals and burns for hours on minimal low-quality wood.
Oh, those old school, like little...
Like a stove.
Like a stove. Okay. All right. No, I'm not getting one of those.
Oh, good point from Mapelo. You fart a lot with winter soup. And of course, if you're under heavy blankets, that can be deadly. Very important. That's a good point.
But that's something you can pull off when you sleep alone. You'll be all right.
Apparently, you have to clean it once a year.
Ah.
So once every 20 years, Carl reckons is okay in South Africa.
Oh, that's sad. No, once a year.
It's good. You got to keep the midget community employed. Isn't that something they do? Isn't that what they do?
Amen.
Now that circuses aren't really a thing, what do little people do?
I saw a video of...
I mean, they can't all star in Game of Thrones.
Oh, come on, Gareth.
What do? Chimney sweep seems like an obvious one, right?
They're living their best lives out there, man. They just like...
But what does that mean? I'm saying here's a real area we need them.
I don't know. I don't think it's they all probably have the skills. There's probably a shortfall of, people in that area, but I don't think they should be at the front of the line.
A shortfall, huh? Is that what you just said?
What?
And you accuse me of being insensitive. Shortfall.
I'm just saying, I don't think that's the first job that anybody would, be wanting to do. Once a year, it's not going to happen.
Nikki says in Austria, the chimney sweeper comes yearly.
Oh, so it's a real thing.
Yeah, it's a proper thing.
So if I go to Sweep South and I ask for a chimney sweeper,
I don't know.
Probably
never
not.
Tried.
Nah. I've also never tried. Let me see.
Also, what equipment do you need there? You don't have you don't lower the child down the chimney like they used to in the 1800s.
Oh, chimneys cleaning from 800 rands. Specialists.
Oh, really?
Single story 800, double story 1,000.
No, we know what you and the internet gets. You bought those last week. This time we were talking about those terrible lights of yours.
Of which actually worked quite a charm. Did you see my hair at the TBWA party?
Oh, you wore them for... those were those lights.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
I found a way to make it work for me.
Lebang had huge big hair with lights in them at this party we were at on Thursday.
I did.
Looked very good.
Thank you,
guys. You found the lights.
I found a purpose for the lights.
There was something you could do with them.
Yeah, but something I can do all the time. But it was cool. It was cool.
Apparently, Francis says, as far as cleaning a chimney goes, it depends on the wood you use. Some wood has more oil and residue buildup than others.
That makes total sense. Of course it would.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
When horse racing season ends, the jockeys clean the chimneys.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense too.
Carl.
All right. A couple of other things we need to do before we get to Africanalysis. Let's just talk a little bit about Easter. It's coming up.
Yeah.
All right. So we're trying to, this morning is really, I think, about improving our lives, trying to get ourselves organized, right? For the seasons, for the holidays, for all of this stuff. Because now there's going to be a couple of these long weekends.
Yeah.
So next week is also a 4-day week. And at the end of the month, we've got another 2 4-day weeks. So it's all crazy. April's just a write-off.
Essentially, like, forget about it. It's not a real month.
Yeah, let's get into this quickly. Easter, you said you've got a whole huge amount of nonsense going on in your house. There are lots of people that vast numbers of family members who've pulled in.
Yes, in preparation.
Oh my God. And they're all in your house.
They're all in my home.
Oh my God.
And on paper, I was like, man, this is going to be so cool. We're going to have everybody over. Yeah. And now the practical has begun. And I'm like, how did I let this happen? It's a lot. It's truly a lot. There's food constantly being cooked. There's kids running around everywhere all the time. Exhausting. Gareth, it's only this time of year. And at the same time, this is what I wanted. This is what I keep telling myself, is that I got a biggish house so that I can accommodate all my family so that we can do this together.
That was your mistake.
At the very least once a year.
That was your mistake. Right up front. Got this nice big house.
And we just like fixed up the cottage. So that's also ready to accommodate. You can just imagine, like, now it's like, woo, everybody wants to come through. So this past weekend.
And now word is going to spread.
Oh, yeah.
Lebang is always, she's got lots of space. You can just pull in there.
Yeah.
You don't have to, family will not be paying, obviously. So they will see this as a freebie.
No, definitely.
But they'll eat for free as well.
Overnight bags.
Won't make any contribution to the food.
Zero.
Toilet paper.
That's going to run out. It already is. Eggs. I usually buy like a tray of 30 to accommodate me and my 5 children.
No.
Now I need to buy like 3 trays at a time. It's bonkers, but I can't wait for it to be done. It's like, this period is, Easter is just for this. And then after this, I want to go back to my real life, which is like what I know, waking up and only hearing 2 crying kids, not 7. You know what I mean? Like,
Jesus.
Yeah. So
sounds like hell.
I mean,
how did you get into this situation?
The family I'm marrying into, they have like a huge family and it's like extremely supportive. So whenever anything happens to the one, everybody comes through. So that's just like,
is that supportive or just?
No, it's extremely supportive. It is extremely supportive. So if there is a traditional ceremony happening, mommy will come, daddy will come, aunties, uncles, sisters, cousins. Everybody just is there for each other.
It sounds to me like you're the supportive one. You're accommodating all of them.
Well, that's just because I love the person that I'm marrying. So I'm happy to do that. Whereas with like my family, it's like, oh, you're doing something. Good luck. Love ya.
And all the family as well.
You know what I mean? So this is in no way a complaint. It's just like a realization that, okay, cool. This is what I've signed up for. This is going to be my life.
Like work. I'm just saying. I don't have to be nice. You do.
I don't expect you to be nice.
For all you know, they're listening now, so you have to watch what you say. I'm just going to say, it sounds to me like a lot of these people are taking advantage.
Hi, if you're listening, hi. No, look, it is what it is, Gareth. I chose them. Like, these are my people now. I just need to adjust and just come to terms with that. This is what's happening, and I'm not mad at it. I'll be honest. It's nice. It's different. To get this level of support. I'm not used to this.
Okay.
Growing up, I was just like, meh. I didn't get, especially from like male figures. I think I've got like a different insight.
Is the right word
like a different vibe?
Is the right word support?
Yes.
Or is the right word involvement?
It's support, Gareth. Please see this for what it is. No, it's definitely support. It's definitely support. And so I'm embracing it. It's a lot.
Tabo's with me. That's not supportive, he says. That's them coming for the ceremony food.
Tabo, like, this is not the time. Tabo, this is your opportunity to stand up for me. No, it's support, Gareth. It's nice to see everyone be there for each other. It's just, again, I've just gotten used to my own space and how my household runs with me and my 5 children. And now that's just being tempered with, I must just readjust. And it is what it is.
Well, I'm not doing any Easter stuff except on the Sunday.
Okay.
We're going to family, friends, and then the kids all do like Easter egg hunt, which they love.
Yeah.
And that's
nice.
it. That's it.
And then everyone goes back to their lives.
Yeah. And it's not at my house, so I don't have to worry about it.
So every year, do you guys like switch houses, or is it just like...
I'm not going to volunteer. See, I'm the opposite of you. I don't throw open the doors and go, come on in.
Everybody's welcome.
I keep those doors tightly shut like a virgin frog's asshole in a pond.
That must be tight. That sounds slippery and tight. Every year we switch houses. So this year it's my house. Next year it'll be my mom's place. The year after it'll be maybe somebody else's place. It's just like a switcheroo.
All right.
And yeah, this is what comes with it.
Sharing responsibilities.
Yeah. So next year I will be the person that is supporting, aka coming for the food at the ceremony.
Okay.
So we'll just be switching it up. We'll see how this year goes. It's my first time hosting. You know, I haven't.
Should your guests bring toilet paper at least?
No, don't bring. Just like bring a fleece blanket so I don't have to turn on the underfloor heating at the very least.
Now, do the guests have underfloor heating?
Every room has underfloor
so
heating.
they can switch it on without you knowing, and then you get the bill.
Dude, and I turned it off on the main switch, like in the DB box, but it still switches on because these old school houses, they just they like that.
They didn't know what they were doing.
They did all one thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in big trouble.
I am.
All right. Here we go. Congo Chris says you have to have a seminar for everybody at Cliff Central about setting boundaries. First, Leigh-Ann and her pervy landlord. Now Lebang and her ravenous family members. Yeah.
This is not a bad idea, Congo Chris.
You know what, Chris? I'm not going to help them. They must learn. They must feel the pain.
How? Gareth, help us.
Yeah, well, wait till you've been...
So you want to watch us burn first?
You talk about a fleece. They're going to fleece you, and then you're going to say, I can't afford to come to the office. I don't have petrol money. I'll be like, why? I had to buy so much toilet paper and food. I had to buy
this toilet paper. Yesterday, I had these lamb shanks that had been in the fridge for like weeks. I was like, I have to cook them tonight. Can I tell you what's left? Absolutely nothing.
It was because you got 200 people in your house.
No, it's actually like 8. It's not.
It's like you're Jesus feeding the 5,000.
I'm just making this fish multiply and this bread multiply. That's all I'm busy doing.
If only you had miracles.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's Easter time, man. Let them do their thing. Let them do that. It's fine. I love it. I'm happy with it until I get the electricity bill.
Carl says, I don't think it's fair that atheists do the Easter egg hunt and get Christmas gifts. You can't have your Christmas cake and eat it. Now, it's interesting you bring that up because yesterday, someone forwarded me Bill Maher's monologue from the end of his show.
Yeah.
And he does this thing with new rules. And then at the end of the show, he has this thing, this tirade about whatever it is that's pissing him off. It's always very funny, very well written. You can tell he's, that's where he puts the majority of the work in for every week's show.
Sure.
So Bill Maher's talking about how everybody's getting representation. You need to have a trans person on the board of your company. You need to have 2 black lesbian women in a wheelchair. All of this shit. And he says, but nobody's got any atheist representation. There's not one person, he said, in the US Congress who will admit that they are a non-believer. 30% of the population 30% of the population in America now identify themselves as either atheist, agnostic, or I don't know.
Okay.
So when they're asked religion, they put none.
Okay? Got you.
No representation. Says he wants, like the Christians get Christmas and Easter, the Muslims get Ramadan, and the Hindus get Diwali, and all of these different days, right? Atheists get no days. And he wants a day. I think this is brilliant. He wants a day where you don't have to believe in anything. And he doesn't want it on, he doesn't want ceremonies. He doesn't want special provisions made. He doesn't want, feasts or festivals or any of that shit. It's just a day where you can just be happy to be you. Don't have to have anyone scolding you for not being too sinful or being not sinful enough or whatever the case may be.
But I think not having those people on boards and stuff there's something to be said about that. Not believing in anything, essentially. It's like, you don't believe in anything. How can we trust you on a board? Like, believe in something. And if the thing you believe in is nothing.
I just think with everybody calling for representation in everything, why is this the final like no-go zone? Why don't we have a day? But I can take a day off work for religious reasons because I'm not religious.
So isn't that a religion in itself? My religion is that I don't believe in religion. That it's kind of giving religion.
All I'm saying is you guys all get a day.
Yeah.
I think I should have a day.
I don't know.
I don't
know if it's completely necessary.
I'm going to encourage anybody to take a listen to what Bill Maher said, and you might disagree horribly.
Sure.
You might think it's complete stupidity. But if 30% one-third of the American population, almost, give or take, more or less, and it was only 5%, by the way, 20 years ago.
Sure.
So it's the fastest growing non-religion in America and probably in other parts of the world too.
I think take your day quietly in the corner.
So I'm going to take a day somewhere in this year, and I'm going to say it's my non-spiritual, non-religious day.
Yeah, those are the kind of people that we're putting on boards of businesses.
Why not?
Because those.
I think I'm going to insist. I'm going to go around to every company.
Why haven't you representation?
I need to be on your board. Why? I'm going to say because you don't have. How many atheists do you have on your board? Well, I don't think we have any. I've never asked. Exactly, you fucking bigot.
I don't know. Do you know how difficult it must be to commercialize something like that? Like
commercialize?
Yes.
I'm not saying commercialize. I need to be there to represent my people.
Oh, shut up.
No. But this is the stupid argument everyone else has used for the last 50 years. First, it was like, you need more women in your boardroom. Cool. We'll get more women in the boardroom. Next thing, we need more people of color on the board. Cool.
Which is valid, yeah.
Now we need more people of different genders on the board. Cool. Go ahead. What about religion? Crickets.
Okay, so
everybody's like, no, that's not really a thing. Yes, it is. It's such a thing that almost all the holidays are just arbitrarily given for various religious reasons.
Start a petition or something. If it matters that much,
you know what?
And all 20 of you
I'm gonna get some research. I'm gonna find out how many people in South Africa are non-religious. And because I can already see a whole lot of people in the comments getting on, this you atheist thing. Like if I spoke like that about religious people, which I once used to do, and I've become a little more moderate on that front. I'm a lot more open-minded, accepting, let's say generous about you believe your thing, I'll believe my thing. I'm just thinking Bill may be onto something here. I'm going to start implementing. I'm going to find out how many people in South Africa roughly are non-believers. Don't subscribe to any religion. How come they just get treated like absolute filth? No special holidays.
Absolute filth.
No representation on boards. No representation in politics. Name a non-believing member of parliament.
Because this is so important to them. I think people that are non-believers, because they already don't believe in anything on a higher level, on a spiritual plane, probably don't believe in a lot of anything, Gareth.
Oh, okay. So now there's also discrimination against us, as evidenced by what Lebang just said now. She's just basically said we're immoral, unethical.
That is not what I said. That is not what I said. According to Jackson M in the comments, he says National Atheist Day already exists. It's on the 23rd of March.
We don't get a day off.
Which you missed, Gareth. This is so important to you. Why didn't you take the day off to celebrate?
They don't give us the day off. They don't give us.
There?
No. This is. I would have to apply.
It.
I would have to apply just like everyone else for leave. Do you apply for leave at Christmas?
I'm worried. Gareth. I don't think this really matters to you. I just think like you're trying to do a thing, and that's fine. I don't think it's that important.
This just shows. Okay, so there are only two options here for you, Lebang. Either you take me seriously,
okay,
and the rest of South Africa and the world takes me seriously on this, and I get put on every board of every company as their atheist representative.
Okay,
because I demand.
Because Gareth really needs this.
Number one,
yes,
I want the holidays. I want the representation. Either you give me that, or you admit that all the other holidays and representation are bullshit. Those are your only two options, because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And if you're going to say, I don't deserve the same rights because I'm in this religious minority, or irreligious minority,
This is
then
not what I'm
basically,
saying.
then basically this is not a country of equal opportunity and fairness.
Do you think this
That's
is a
all I'm
country
saying.
of equal opportunity and fairness, Gareth?
It
Do you think
seems-
this is a world
It seems
of
that
equal opportunity and
our
fairness?
entire political establishment is hell-bent on giving representation to everybody except this group. Somehow this group, you guys can get screwed.
Bugger off.
Nobody cares about you.
I think we're moving into a time where everybody just has something that they want to complain about, and everybody wants to be heard, and everybody belongs to one or other group. So everybody needs to be like taken, seriously and put on a list. And look, that's just not how the world works. I don't think it works like that.
Cutting Stunt says, I just turned into a whole pronoun person. Well,
congratulations. Are you going to start a petition as well where you want a national holiday as well? That's what it's kind of sounding like.
Lebang, you know what? You can't have certain people benefiting from certain exceptions.
Yes.
And getting treated like a special population group. And others not. That's called the past.
On that we agree. But what I want you to understand is that not every single person is going to get accounted for. This is the world that we live in, and it's unfortunate.
Okay, so
I agree that it sucks.
Tough titties for me.
For most, I agree that it sucks. I don't think it's right, but it's the name of the game. Imagine if every single person was like, "Hey, man, this is how I feel, and this is what I believe should happen."
We've got to get to JJ Cornish. He's
Save
not
us.
He's not going to wait all day for us. He's got African analysis to tell us about, and this is our special favorite part of the Tuesday morning where we get to speak to JJ Cornish. We can carry on with this conversation later. It's time to catch up with him, and it's brought to you by the Johannesburg Business School, looking at what's happening around the African continent. Let us go straight to Mr. JJ Cornish. Good morning, JJ.
Morning, JJ.
Bonjour. I hope that you can hear me clearly. You guys have been going off. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Jolly good. Well, I was hoping that you weren't going to kick me off the show for wanting to eat those chocolate lips bunnies in just a few days' time. I have a wife who's superstitious about eating the heads of little creatures, so I get to eat the head. Me, as 50-year vegetarian, eating bunny.
JJ, this is a terrible, terrible line. I'm not sure where are you in the world at the moment? No. This is not, it's not working. I don't know why we can't talk to him. Not sure. He seems to be somewhere else. You know what, JJ? Well, let's try, Ryan, let's just try and get him on without the camera. May allow us to speak to him with just audio, which we've done before. And then usually we can hear him a lot clearer.
Yeah.
So just tell JJ to turn off his camera and let's get back to him ASAP. Yeah, one of these days we'll be subjected to a transgender day. Let's get our day, says Cliff Centralist. A lot of people pretend to be Christian for their own benefit while they're actually closet atheists.
That's also true.
Read properly. The Bible's the greatest tool for atheism ever invented, from Isaac Asimov there. Okay, there are lots of comments here. We'll get back to all of those in a moment. JJ, hello. JJ, can you hear us now?
Come in, JJ.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
That's much better. Go ahead.
Have you not got sound?
Okay. No, we got it. Did you say that you eat the heads off of chocolate bunnies and that this is some kind of religious thing for you?
It's not religious. It's to keep my marriage alive. And because my wife won't eat the heads off the little bunnies. She eats their bottoms and their under feet. But I have to eat the head. It's fine. I mean, we've survived.
All right, JJ, let's get straight into it because I know you have limited time this morning. For the 6th straight year, Finland has topped this thing which we always talk about called the UN Happiness Index. Now, which are the 3 happiest African countries, and how do they actually work this out? JJ? Nope. I'm afraid that's not going to work. We will have to try and get him on a little bit later. We'll see how it goes. I'm not sure where he is. But Congo Chris says, why do we always start with the heads and not the ass of these bunnies?
That is a good question.
People always start with the ears, right?
Yeah, just like you start from the top, you kind of just like work your way down. I don't know.
I start with the ears of the bunny and then work my way down.
Yeah, like I think that's a natural way of. But anyway, people be doing their own thing lately.
Maybe that's also a kind of religious practice.
Perhaps we need a day for Easter egg eaters who prefer to start at the bottom and work their way up. They should sign up. They should be on the boards of these companies and make decisions.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it always works, but these are some of the questions that we have to deal with when it comes to Easter. It's very important to consider these things.
Yeah,
I'm luckily not a big chocolate guy, so it's not. A lot of people you see those Easter eggs go up. They had them out in February,
of course,
this year.
Of course.
Boxes, and then they're all those soft marshmallow ones.
Yeah, bro.
They had them out in February.
Yep. And then there's those like hard white ones that leave.
Yeah. They leave the white around.
Leave the whites around.
You can always tell if one of your kids has stolen one.
Yes.
No, that's important. I
But
actually think that's quite a good way of like checking which of your kids is the least honest.
Evidence.
Yes.
So you're just trapping them.
Yes.
Gareth, these kids don't care.
This is why I'm not a father. They're
gonna eat it all. They literally gonna eat it all. They don't give a rat's ass if they're getting busted or not.
Yeah, what's the story? Okay, you're gonna try and get him on the phone.
Producer Ryan to the rescue.
Well, let's see.
Why not start with the front? Matthew
Got like
Dixon.
6 minutes.
How?
What's that?
Matthew Dixon is saying, why not start with the front? Teach us.
Oh, the bunnies. I wondered what the hell he was talking about for a second there.
How do you start with the front? Like, would you start with like the belly? I don't know. What? How?
I'm sorry. This is not even a debate. You have to start quite obviously with the ears. That's where everybody starts, unless you're a psychopath.
Yeah. There's something to be said about people that don't start with the ears.
All right, let's see if we can get JJ on here.
Like if you're
JJ, can you hear us now?
Perfectly, yeah.
All right, sorry about that. Okay, so JJ, we often talk about this this happiness index, and it's always some Scandinavian country that comes up tops. What is the African? How do we rate on the happiness index, and which countries come up the top here?
And it's not merely some Scandinavian country. Finland has won the happiest country, and this is a UN survey. They've won it for the last 6 successive years. Sure. I mean, you go to the Finnish National Day, and they don't like to brag because I suppose that's what part of making them happy. But this year they're followed by Denmark and Iceland. The Scandinavian countries do very well. We, in Africa, the top one is Mauritius, not terribly surprising, followed by Algeria, and that does come as a surprise. And then South Africa is third.
Oh, we're there?
What?
Yeah?
Yeah. So, 2 problematic countries come in. It's very interesting. They measure it on social support, income, health, freedom, and lack of corruption. So, it's the most interesting thing, and I look forward to seeing it every year. In late March, they have what they call World Happiest Day, and that's where the countries get to celebrate. And I don't know whether we link hands with the Mauritians and the Algerians, but we are in third place.
You know what? We'll take it. I mean, we get, we'll always appreciate the small wins, JJ.
Yeah.
And this morning we needed an upper, and you've helped us to get there. So there we go. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, South Africa is the 3rd happiest country in Africa. It's not amazing, but we'll take it.
We'll take what we can get. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Kenya quickly, because the leaders there have been praised for agreeing to talk and end a fortnight of mass street protests. What are people protesting about in Kenya?
Well, that's another upper. Of course, the win of William Ruto and Raila Odinga, who is a 7 times loser. He said to these people, come out on the streets, and they have been doing that in spades. And for 2 weeks, they've been having the police out and the army ready. It was like with South Africa, like with Nigeria, like with Senegal, the three big countries in Africa having this problem. And it seems that William Ruto stood down now and sort of showed some flexibility. Raila Odinga has praised him for it, for this climb down. The East African community, very, very full of praise for the fact that these demonstrations have stopped. They were getting very, very dangerous. And 4 opposition MPs, Odinga MPs,
have had the charges against them dropped because they were acting up in the streets. So that's another positive story, a very important democracy in Africa getting back into shape. And they've done this before.
It's interesting because obviously for many people, this is also reminiscent vaguely of Donald Trump and his supporters on January the 6th of 2021. And he said, go out in the streets. Do you make sure that people hear you? We don't like the results of this election. And it sounds a lot like that. And these have been going on a lot longer.
Well, isn't it interesting that once upon a time, the Western powers that used to say to us, this is no way to behave, this is not democracy, this is not what you should be doing, are doing it with us, I think that it really tarnishes the idea of democracy internationally. Look how many prime ministers has Britain had in recent weeks. It's just generally nobody can shush or try to criticize another country for taking things to the streets.
It depends.
When they stop it, then you have to question it.
They always spin it the way that they want it to be spun. Like, they'll say, for example, oh, no, but this is the sign of a healthy democracy, is that people can take to the streets and protest freely. Of course, on the other side of the equation, there are people saying, well, you just got to accept the election results and stop causing trouble. So it all depends on which side you're on. What about Rwanda? I mean, again, Rwanda is always in the news. It seems like Rwanda is the country in Africa which gets the most coverage all over the world. And now they're talking about the Patriotic Front, which is Paul Kagame's party. They've re-elected him as the leader and a new woman as a deputy head. But there's no chance of him being displaced anytime soon, Paul Kagame, right?
He's been around since Y2K. And then they changed the constitution to allow him to continue being around. The term limits have gone. Now we have a very powerful woman, Kunsele Uiwamana. She was a banker and businesswoman, so he sees her as strong. In terms of women in politics and women's rights, Rwanda has done very well. I think they have per capita more women MPs than any other country, probably in the world. So, from that point of view, Paul Kagame can be very comforted that his party's put him back in, although I can't say comforted is the word, because nobody would vote against it. But the Human Rights Council is extremely worried about the impact of Britain's plan to send unwanted asylum seekers to Rwanda, which seems to be marching apace. So that is a worry. But Rwanda, of course, doing it not out of the goodness of their hearts, but for the mullah. But what the UN Human Rights Commission is saying is that the freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, basic human rights are both being violated by this move by the Brits who have found this way to get rid of the asylum seekers they don't want.
It's a business arrangement. That's what it is. All right, JJ, I'm sorry I'm sorry we had such limited time this morning. I would have liked to talk to you more about the happiness index and talk about those countries which are at the bottom of it, and which of our neighbors may be near to the bottom of it. But we don't have time today. We'll catch up very, very soon. Have an awesome Easter.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much. And to you too. Joyeux Pâques.
Thank you very much,
Bye,
JJ Cornish.
Enjoy the Easter eggs.
There we go. African Analysis with JJ Cornish, brought to you by the Johannesburg Business School. And you can catch up with all the stuff that he's saying and all the stuff that he's told us in the last couple of weeks. Is always interesting stories that you could pick up on. Just go to the podcasts and check out all of the previous episodes. You will be very glad that you did. CliffCentral.com. It is Tuesday morning. We are live. We're here to look after you. Stick around for a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere.
On the Auto Trader podcast.
But essentially, after they'd stolen the stuff and put in the Model X, they tried to get away with it. About 15 minutes later, the cops were able to find them charging the vehicle at a charging station with all the stolen goods. And yeah, I mean, they couldn't get away with the stuff, obviously the loot, because the car had died. So there's another plus to having EVs.
Because of the length of charging time.
Less crime, potentially less crime.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Just because it's about technology, connecting your business to the rest of the world doesn't mean you need to send rockets to space and use complicated solutions. Want to simplicate things? Well, join Jaco Voigt, who is the CEO of Catalytic, on the Unbundled podcast. With skin in the game and a keen focus on educating and assisting you and your business, Jaco decodes all the aspects of connectivity, security, and cloud solutions. Unbundled is brought to you by Catalytic and is available on cliffcentral.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Tuesday morning, it's already the 4th of April. We got the Easter weekend on the way, so it's going to be a short week of 4 days. For some people, that's very irritating because it means that you have to squeeze 5 days into 4. It also means that those people who are lazy are going to say to you, can't do a meeting this week. Can we do next week? Oh, no, wait. No, next week's also a 4-day week. Yeah. Can we do the week after that? And then before you know it, it's like May the 15th. Hey. Oh, we can do May the 15th. But that's a whole month of month and a half.
Some people are living ahead. Some people are living in the future, Gareth. Like for them mentally, that's where they already are.
I don't think that's living in the future. Those are just people that cannot make any arrangements, can't stick to any plans.
Y'all need PAs, man. Y'all need PAs.
Talking about the Easter bunnies earlier, Carl says in the comments, you treat Easter bunnies like sex. You always start with the ass.
No lies detected. I mean, that's some good advice.
All right. So I mentioned at the start of the show that we're going to be joined this morning by someone called Veli Ngubane, who is the co-founder of Avatar Agency. He's also the chief creative officer there. We spent a bit of time with him the other day, popped into his office, had some very nice coffee. Mm-hmm. And he told us a little bit of his story. And we decided at that point we needed to get him in and talk to him a little more, find out about the rest of his story. So he is here with us this morning. And we're going to introduce you to somebody who's really making an enormous contribution to South Africa's advertising business, to the idea of marketing, to the way that that's developed over the last few years.
Yeah.
And he's someone who's still doing all of that. So, Veli, very nice to have you here. Yeah, good to see you. Let me switch on your microphone. There we go.
All right. No, thank you for having me.
What a pleasure, man. Now, we got talking with Veli last time, and we were saying to him, you should write a book about your story. And then he said, I'm actually already onto that.
Yeah. It was taking longer than I thought.
So, I mean, just so that everybody else can be on the same page as Lebang and I, because we were talking, and it all started with you talking about your kid, and like you had to pick him up from school one day and the teachers were giving you hell because he'd bitten somebody or something. And Lebang was like, oh, this happens to me all the time.
Me too.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, the first and most important thing about this is you guys have been tremendously successful. Your agency's done some incredible work. You won tons of awards. Let me just go through some of that so that people know what's happened here. You've won plenty of awards. You've judged plenty of awards. You've been on the IAB's Transformation Education Council as chairman. You've been in the MAC Charter Council. You've been tasked with helping report to the minister in the presidency. And this is big stuff. Yeah. And you started off in like social science with economics, politics, and law. So how did you get from that into advertising?
Well, I think anyone who is a creative, and I don't think it's race specific, but I think in my context, having black parents, they kind of said, you
have black parents. Yeah. I wasn't sure.
Look,
thank you for clarifying that.
Look, man, could be a tan. Hey, come on, you know. So my parents really are academics. So the idea of becoming a creative or was something very different.
Yeah.
So
they were like, no, you're going to get a real job.
Yeah,
you're going to study
you're
real.
Be a lawyer,
right?
Sure.
You talk a lot, and you're always opinionated, so you're going to be a lawyer. So I studied that at UCT, BSOC Politics, Economics, and Law, and I fell in love with entrepreneurship. Right, and in those days, I just threw parties around campus, and it just grew. And it just got.
Did you make money out of those parties?
I made lots of money out of that. I mean, I drove.
Can I tell you something? I thought about this the other day, and I'm sure that you were just way ahead of people like me because you did it. mean, you didn't do the things I was going to, if I could go back in time at university, I would have first of all started dealing drugs without any shame, because I wouldn't take. And if anybody wanted, I would supply at a very high price.
Sure.
Number one. Number two, I would have started a religion, because there's big money in that, right? I mean, you've got this on your hat, it says cult. If you could start a cult and it's really successful and you can draw a lot of members in, you look at these churches. I mean, I know you've done a lot of incredible work, but these people, they don't pay tax, the churches, right? Imagine how much more success there is in starting a religion. You win people over, they come every Sunday. There's no skipping that stuff, because your soul is the thing that's in balance. And you can send around the tithes, and now they have credit card machines. People don't skimp on that stuff. Again, your soul is in the balance. I think I would have started a religion, I'd have dealt drugs, and I would have started a prostitution business. I'd have got a whole bunch of girls who needed the money and said to them, right, ladies, let's go. Because those are three things that are never going to run out of market share, right? Am I right?
Yeah. Look, I think for me, there's always opportunity in every environment.
That is the most diplomatic answer I've ever heard.
I also like that, just keeping it safe on the fence.
No. And that's how I've looked at my life. I mean, I was telling someone yesterday, as a kid, I always used to look for money opportunities. So when we were playing soccer, I'd want to play for money. Like there's this thing, guys, so she 3, Pelu 6. So you score 3 goals this way, you swap around, you score, whoever gets to 6 first takes the money. So it's just been like that. So whatever environment that I'm in, I look for that. So in varsity, I was like, obviously students love partying. I was just like, cool. And like once you're a student, you know the cycles, because the club owners don't know the cycles. So when the exam ends, they don't know. They kind of know it's around about that time. You know, if there's a student break, you can target commerce. You know that commerce finishes after engineering, so you can have an engineering party. So it was just that, and it just escalated, and I ended up owning a nightclub.
That's awesome.
Pata Pata Lounge on Bree Street. Just by the sheer growth of it. And I don't know how, but it just grew, and the parties got better and better. And it's a time where a lot of DJs, especially house DJs, weren't going to Cape Town. So it was like a new thing. I mean, DJ Fresh coming down was like a huge thing. Dina coming down was like a huge thing. So that's really what happened in terms of getting into entrepreneurship and stuff. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
And you were able to just switch that into advertising. Like, when did you? What was that opportunity when you saw there's a gap here and I need to get in on that?
So I ran the club, and I was in charge of marketing.
Sure.
And I didn't know anything about marketing. And the club operated from Thursday to Sunday. So Monday to Wednesday, I was just lounging around. And you know, just I don't even think there was Netflix there, and there was like a DVD shop down the road.
And you're not the kind of person who can sit on your back.
So I was just like really lounging around and really getting bored. I tried the whole going to gym every day thing. It didn't work. So another guy was like, you know, you in marketing, and you always complaining because it's not just about getting promo ladies to just go out. You need to build a brand. You need to, you know, do bigger. I was like, okay, cool. That sounds cool. And they said, no, there's a school called Red and Yellow, which is the best school, you know. Enroll in Red and Yellow because you clearly bored. It was my girlfriend at the time. You're clearly bored. I can see that you're frustrated. You only excited from Thursday to Sunday. Come Monday, you're just like, what can I do? What can I do? So I got into advertising by mistake. I went to Red and Yellow to sharpen my skills so I could market better for the club. You know, so, and then fast forward to my final year, they had almost like a recruitment week where agencies come and they talk to the students. And I was kind of disinterested because I didn't really want to work for an agency. And one odd day, I didn't attend most of them, and I just went to one, and it was a company called Island Davenport. Now, I love cars. I still drive the same brand that I used to work on, and 3 exciting guys came through. you know, a guy called John Davenport, Phil Island, and Jason Knight, and they owned an advertising agency called Island Davenport. Hot agency. They had BMW, they had Apple, they had Investec, and the way they thought of their company and the way they projected their companies, because in that time, you know, and I don't want to diss any other companies, you know, it was just stale, you know, it's all companies that you always knew, like
rinse and repeat.
Oh, okay, it's this company, and these guys were like taking on the industry, and they were like, you know, we started off, we independent, let's go, you know, and I found interest in them, you know, and once all the students had kind of, given them taken the cards and stuff like that, I kind of said, you know, guys, how long are you in Cape Town for? And they said, no, we're here until the evening. I was like, look, cool, let me take you guys out. And they're like,
come to my club.
Like, no, well, I took them to Camps Bay, and they're like, this. So we walk out, and it's like, oh, no, I'll take you in. And I used to love cars with a passion, and I had this convertible. So it's like, oh, okay, this student is different. So
they didn't know you were a club owner at that point.
No, they didn't. Fortunately for them as well. So I took them out, and you know, they were quite interested in a lot that I said. So I actually arranged my own lunch interview. So, but by the time they got to Joburg, they're like, "Would you move to Joburg?" I was like, yeah, I probably would. You know, my girlfriend at the time had moved up. So, and I told them at lunch. So I think when they flew back, they were like, we need to get this guy
That's
on.
the guy.
You know, and
you didn't really give them an option.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
About 3 months later, and funny enough, that's the only job I've ever had in my life. And I only had it for 8 months. And I think I always say people, it was almost me learning how to run an agency, because a lot of my agency systems, a lot of what the agency at the beginning was had a foundation on is what I'd learned there.
Sure.
And when I resigned, they scrambled. You know, They put me on the board as non-exec. Well, they tried the whole salary thing, corner office, what do you want thing.
Sure.
You know, write on a piece of paper. And I just, you know, I'll get to the story of Avatar and how we met Z. I just really believed what I was going to do with my business partner was much greater. Cut my salary, I think, by something like 40% at the time, and moved. You know,
so you see, this is I think where like stuff gets really interesting, because a lot of people will be very happy when they get a job, especially if you're in your 20s. And it's tough in this market. There are not a lot of jobs, a lot of people going for jobs. A lot of people have this idea that once you get a job, then your life is on the right track.
Sure.
And here you are, 8 months, you said.
Yeah.
And things are going really well. And now they're offering you pretty much anything you want. But you go, no, I'll take the sacrifice and go and start on my own, because I believe in what I'm going to do, and I've got some ideas, and I need to work for myself.
And that was crazy. I mean, I had family members saying this is the wrong move.
Sure.
You know, my business partner happens to be the same age as me. They're like, why would you leave these grown-ups to go, you know,
and so many people are scared of doing that stuff also because by then they've already got responsibilities, bills to pay,
security.
So it takes a big set of balls to do what you did.
It's a lot of holding people's dreams back, and it's that comfort, and it's that fear, you know, and a lot of people want to, and they've got major. I mean, I usually say whenever I'm like at a UCT reunion or something, I'm like, dude, you know, what are you doing at this insurance company? You're like an actuary. You did like 9 A's. You're genius, bro. Like, why are you waiting for a promotion? Why aren't you like doing some like flipping amazing things out there? And because now they're just stuck in it, you know, and they don't want to leave that comfort. They're just waiting until eventually one day they become CEO at 55, 10 years to retirement.
That's it.
Sure.
And that's it. So look, it takes a bit of craziness, because it is a crazy thing to do, to leave comfort for the unknown.
Yeah.
But for some, and luckily for me, it worked out. you know. But to jump from people, I mean, I was the youngest board member of WPP owned company globally, you know, so I could have gone internationally if I had stayed with the group. I could have grown there because I mean, I had a head start. I was already on the board in my early 20s. So had I just stayed there, and people, you find some people want to just stay it out. You know, if you're already ahead at like 20 something, by 30 something, you're bound to be even more ahead. Yeah.
What was your motivation at that point? Because
craziness.
Is that it? It was just like you needed variety, you needed stimulation. Like, what was it you were looking for? Because a lot of people would imagine that at that point everybody is just motivated by the money, but you've already proven you're not, because you didn't take the easy money. You decided you were going to go and work your ass off and make it work for you in your terms. That's different. So what's the actual motivation? What was in your mind at that point when you and Z got together? Because we'll talk about him in a second.
Yeah, a vision and impact. I knew I could grow in someone else's dream, but it wouldn't be impactful. I would have just been contributing to something that is probably going to grow anyway. You know, at the time, there weren't many, without any really, Black-owned agencies. And I felt that we needed a home as Black creatives where even the work that we do reflects accurately the societies that we come from. I did a lot of work. I mean, I remember us presenting to the German team to say, stupid things like arguing about number plates on the cars, you know, shooting an ad in Cape Town for South Africa, but having to put German plates, you know, and what is the flavor? Telling them about how loved the BMW brand is. You know, I always say when brands get nicknames, they're loved. You know, if there's a Kusheshe, if there's a Dolphin, you know, there was the Big 7 series at the time was called a Shabir Sheikh. Because
you know, also, I mean, like conversely, I mean, how they get the nickname is a whole different story. But I remember only ever calling those MLs Yengenis.
That's it,
right?
You know,
Ever.
That's it. But it becomes iconic and part of society. So why not lean into that and lean into that love and appreciate? You can't be ignorant of the love that people have. You know, stop and wave as a brand. Acknowledge the people that love you. Go into their spaces. Let them feel and touch the brand, even if maybe at the time they won't afford it. But have an activation in the township with the brand. Drive a convoy of BMWs through Soweto. Not because they're the target market right now at the time at 12, 13, but is that aspiration? I mean, I remember we used to, look, I've advertised, we've got a cart line now, so I hope this doesn't become a car promo. We used to sit on the fence as kids, and we used to point at cars. Like, choose Leamort. As much as we weren't the target market at the time, but we grew up with that aspiration.
So
we felt that we needed to have a voice in advertising and marketing that responds to that, you know, and not having our people portrayed in a way that they don't see themselves in. I mean, I always talk about dancing ads where, you know, there's this big mama, you win airtime and you're dancing, you freaking,
it's so
like,
exhausting.
You've just won 5,000 and you're like, boo!
Yo, it's tired.
You know, so where
so
Black
many of
people are just
those.
always just singing. So we wanted a deeper meaning. We wanted more respectful. And we have the insights because we are from those areas. And even now, even in with my digital guys, you know, I come from rural Natal. I'm like, how does this appeal to the market that I come from? How will my relatives, how will my mom, can I tell my mom about this campaign and will she understand what legs does she have? Does this campaign have? Because you find that at the time, and even now, you know, people were just marketing for Joburg, Cape Town, and Durban.
Exactly.
And that's not the market.
Yeah. And where does Z come in here? Because it almost sounds like how you saw yourself in advertising was clear and you were intentional about it.
And finding the right partner in anything. I mean, it's like you find the right partner in marriage, or
and that's
kids,
already difficult.
you know. And now we're talking about a business, and that's a
yeah.
whole other kettle of fish.
Z's wife usually says we win the marriage together.
Yeah,
and it becomes that. So crazy thing. I started a company called Kinsani Africa during my club days, and it was a tourism company. And basically, it was a cultural hosting company where you could book into a culture. So in an area called Imbonji, which is in Kokstad, it's got 3 unique cultures. It's in the border. It's got Zulu, it's got Sotho, it's got Xhosa. So what you could do is you could book into a culture. So you could book into a Xhosa family, and you had to live like the people there. So if the men sat there and the women sat there, you had to do that. So I got nominated for an award for that. And it was a Black Business Quarterly, award. And Z has been a successful entrepreneur since he's probably like 16. So
did he also start doing parties at high school?
No, he started just fixing computers and tearing them apart and learning teaching himself how to program. So he's a genius. We're just doing practical party stuff. He was coding and stuff. So I was nominated for this award. And I think it was in Emperor's Palace. And he was speaking. Right. And I, as much as I grew up in a Christian family, but didn't really, acknowledge God or even go to church or anything. And I thought business wasn't about that, you know. And obviously coming from the club world, it was just
there's none of that there.
Sure.
You know, and he spoke about the story of David and Goliath, and he put it in a business concept, and he just spoke so powerfully and so eloquently. And I didn't win the award. I got robbed.
So you're not bitter about that, you've definitely moved on.
So he comes up to me and he says, I loved your concept. It was a youth award. And he said, look, you're young, you still have a chance to win it again. You're still going to make an impact.
Sure.
Really, really felt good. We exchanged numbers. We started talking. And then, as I said, I was at Island Devonport. And then he says, look, there's an opening at my company called Crazy Boys. Crazy Boys Digital was one of the first website digital companies called Crazy Boys, which he was a part of.
Sure.
And that's when the craziness hit it. And they said, look, I can't pay you as much as, a WPP owned company, but I really believe we could do something together. I really, really believe we could be a great team and a great combination.
How awesome.
And it didn't make, like if you had to write pros, and I do this all the time, I write pros and cons
lists,
the cons would have
outweighed the pros.
Been the page.
Right.
A very small company, unknown to the mainstream advertising. But there was a feeling, man.
Sure.
There was that thing.
Yeah.
And my mom is the most loveliest, open, and she advises me on a lot of things. I told my mom, she's like, if you really feel like that, do it. And obviously I've got other people in my life. They were just like, you crazy. These people love you. I mean, I loved Island Devonport and they loved me. And I had to sit them down and just say, look, it's not about anything. It's not about money. It's not about opportunity. I mean, here you are working on the BMW global account. You've just won awards off it. We had just won SA Tourism at the time, which is a dream account for anyone to work on. And I just said, it's a feeling, man. And they like explained what can we do to change this place? I'm like,
when you know, you know. When you know.
I think that's so first of all, I mean, like the obvious prevailing circumstances and conditions are that you'd met someone who you thought you could work with. You also had you'd played around as an entrepreneur already. You'd done the club stuff. You'd done some advertising already. You kind of, maybe you already realized like that was a ceiling that you didn't want to hit. I mean, it's kind of,
it was
exciting,
spiritual, man.
but it's exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure for a while you guys suffered. And by suffered, I mean, like you must have loved the work or you wouldn't have carried on doing it. You must have loved working with each other and working with the people you had in the business, but it must have been tough.
So Z tells the story. I seldom tell it because it just adds to the craziness. What I did is that I sold the house. So when I sold the club, I bought a house up here, and I sold that house, right? And moved in with my uncle at the time. So here's someone that's quit their job, sells their house to put into a business. That's how we started Avatar. I sold my house to start Avatar. So it's like triple craziness. You cut your income and you sell an asset.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Sure.
You know, what is this belief in this thing? So, and even now, I cannot explain it. If I had to advise myself, then I would also say,
don't do it.
What are you
crazy,
doing?
bro.
Yeah.
This is dangerous.
Yeah.
And who are the clients that first believed in you guys? Because those people are also, you know, a lot of the time it's great to have a business, great to have an idea, it's great to have all the right pieces in play, but someone needs to believe in you from the outside as well.
You know, and I always mention them by name because they're part of the rich history of belief. Because as much as you can have an idea, as much as you can have a philosophy and, you know, fancy Mac and present, you need someone to believe in you. And at the beginning, that is the biggest barrier. You know, once you've built your brand, it's easier to walk into boardrooms because people either recognize the name and they trust. And it's also just putting your career on the line. I mean, here these two young boys, one from Flosserglas, one from a guy plays Kwamhlabialingane that you can't even probably pronounce. And now you want to give them business. So there's a lady called Tandy Davids, who was the head of Africa for Fox International. All right. Fox International channels. And I always say this about our first pitch. Now, we only had 3 employees at the time. And 3 employees means Z, me, and a guy called Tumisho. who was just hanging around us. I don't even think he was paid at the beginning. he just was around us. So we get this mail from Tandy David saying, "Hey, I'm Tandy Davis from Fox International. I want you guys to pitch in my account." And we're like, okay. We just moved into Rivonia offices. What
are you gonna do?
We asked church members. And so we asked about 10 church members. I don't know where we got the furniture. I think we must have borrowed some of the furniture, put it in. Asked people, do you have laptops? They're like, yeah. So bring your laptop. And they sat there and I remember.
They were actors. They were paid actors.
I remember we put this lady in reception, and we kind of didn't teach her how everything works. So the phone was ringing, and she was just trying to press stuff. So that's just the oddest thing.
But this is the smoke and mirrors. Like a lot of people don't realize you got to play the game, right?
You really have to.
And everybody thinks it's all about how you know, the quality of your work, and obviously that stuff's important.
Yeah. It's a bigger thing.
You have to create a bit of a front.
Sure.
It's a bigger thing, you know. And we pitched. I remember we probably didn't sleep for a week. We put everything into that pitch, and she came in, and we crossed over to her US team, and we pitched, and we won Nat Geo. National Geographic was our first client, and Fox International clients, and she gave us the African account. Now here is this 3-man show. Hey. Well, sort of 13,
2.5,
and we went. I mean, I always say that I remember when she did a tour of the place, you know, and I was just stressed out that she's going to stop and ask, so what do you do here? We're like, you are social media, you're a creative.
Just smile and wave.
You Dana, just open something important, open a spreadsheet or something.
Look busy.
Look busy. Just type an email, man. Dear client. So, and we won that, and that was the big break, because when we put out that release, a lot of people were surprised. Who are these guys? We both kind of were imposters in the industry, because I'd only been 8 months and I was kind of below Phil Allen's shadow. So he was the creative. So I was just in the team, So who is this guy? Z is from IT. Who is this IT guy? They come into the industry and they win. And that got us massive interest. We suddenly got more invites to pitches. And the second client was Business Connections, which was a listed client. So on the back of Fox, we win business connection. And that was another hype. Third client, which is for me was a turning point. And again, I mentioned people by name, Kim Tipe, who was the head of SAA. We won the South African Airways account. Now it was that's when we started.
Yeah,
just
crazy.
It's just crazy how in the space of a year we won that. So those were our founding clients, the people that believed in us, and the people that this agency, the foundation and its success was built on, because without them, I think we just would have struggled. But the crazy thing is that when we set out,
you need that one or two breakthrough clients to make it happen.
But also you need to be crazy, because Z and I, from the beginning, didn't want small clients. Right? We didn't want a corner bakery to do a brand for. We just refused that. We just said, if we go for the big fish, we might miss, but if we get one, we are fishing in different seas.
That's it.
But if we're in the shore, just
messing around.
You know what I like about that? That's like the real definition of disruption. And I'm kind of starting to not like that word, because everybody throws it around. We're gonna be so disruptive this year. Yeah, you've been saying that for many years, but you guys actually did that, and it's kind of making me think about how advertising has changed over the years so much, and the evolution of advertising and what it once looked like to what it's looking like today. And it's almost so in line with your intention in this game, is that you are here to make and create opportunities for the younger and smaller voices that previously wouldn't have been heard. So I want to speak a little bit about the changes that you've seen in advertising and what Avatar is doing to be at the forefront of those changes.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the impact of digital. So Avatar is now a group of agencies.
Sure.
Because again, having been a part of a WPP agency, I always questioned, why don't we have an African group? We don't. We don't have an advertising group owned by Africans.
It's all like
the money goes to the US, the money goes to France, the money goes to the UK. So we decided, because obviously there was a time, and our partners at the time probably still think we're the dumbest people, because we got. So there's two things that you do to an agency like us.
Yeah.
If you're a big multinational, you buy us,
of course,
and you buy us for more money than we're worth, because we could pop up anyway.
Sure.
So you can up your PE ratio to whatever. It doesn't really matter. You just stop us. Now our chairman of the media of the media group, Happy Njingila, we won Advertising Agency of the Year in Financial Mail. Happy Njingila used to own Herd Boys.
Okay, yeah.
And he held my hand on stage and he said, whatever you do, do not sell Avatar.
Don't sell, yeah.
Now, this is the founder of the first Black-owned agency telling us not to do the same thing that he did.
Oof.
So
who did they sell to?
I think it slips my mind now, but basically they sold to be killed. There's no intention of carrying on with that brand. They basically got bought to get closed down, so the market can still be dominated by those people. So And when they realized that that's what happened, because I mean, obviously the promise was we're going to grow your brand, but no, we're buying your brand and
To
we're
stop
going to,
you.
we're stopping and we're killing your history. And
Yeah.
at the time they were blazing, you know, they would be even bigger. I mean, they had Castle Milk Stout, they had lots and lots of Talcom, all those great ads.
Yeah.
And they got stopped for money. And that's why for me, when we started getting offers, we were very clear. We had men in the fanciest
That must be
suits.
so
That's
tempting.
so,
I mean,
we got flown even to London, and we have seen the fanciest suits there. We sat with the people there, and there's agencies.
and they're throwing big numbers at you, right?
They're throwing any numbers at us because any number is safer than us popping up at your client.
Sure.
You know, so you rather manage the risks now and prospects of international. Do you want to move to London? Do you want to do this? All this fancy stuff. And we said, no, if one, Bob Happy and Jingila's advice, but two, if they want to buy us, there's no group in this country that didn't make us an offer. All of them.
Sure.
They try to make us an offer.
Of
they
course.
even sent the people that we respected to have lunch with us. Hey, my son. You know what?
Oh, not my son.
This thing of yours, you know, you can make, you know, if you're part of our group, you can make it. And we said no. So, and then we said no. There's actually another thing. So they actually prompted another thing. And the craziness that Z and I have, what if we start our own global group?
Sure.
You know, and then we started Eminent Brands. If you're at the offices in Mkwanas and Gubana, and that's a holding company that owns now 8 agencies in different spheres, where digital activations, youth. We've got a company called Fresh AF.
So I'm just aware of the time, and there's so much I want to ask you.
And I talk
mean,
too much.
no, not at all. And I mean, I think this is probably fascinating for people, especially people who are starting off in business and don't know how these things work. But South Africa is a very unique place, and it's a place that, you know, all of us believe in. Clearly, otherwise we wouldn't be here.
Yeah,
sure.
But what do you think is happening in this country, and where do you think it's going, and what can we all do to make a contribution here? Because there's a business contribution, there's a personal contribution everyone can make. And what's your feeling about things at the moment? Because it's a very it's a strange time. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of potential, but there are also major challenges. So what are your feelings on that front?
I think for me, we've given away our power as citizens to politicians, and we've forgotten our power and who we are. And it might take a little bit of time, but knowing South Africans, it will get to a time where we are fed up, and when something needs to be done. So, but
do you think
for
we're
South
close
African,
to that now?
Yeah, it's almost there.
Yeah,
but I think South Africans have got that unique ability to sit back, look like they're relaxed, and then one day they have to act. Because there's so much love for this country, and the people that are in this country will reclaim their power. Now, when that's going to be, that only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, this country has got the greatest potential. So we are on the verge of opening an international office. Now, the country that we're going to open in, I was there over December. And you understand why they need a South African agency. It's because everything works. There's no chaos. There's no diversity. So when you look at the advertising, it looks the same because they have no other sources of influence.
Safe.
Yeah. So sometimes the more problems you have, the more solutions you can create.
I love that.
People see it sometimes as an energy crisis. You should be seeing it as a business opportunity.
Yep.
And in that is what changes the country, you know, that belief. And I think if people get despondent and always complain, you should look for the solutions. One, you should just start saying, just deciding, am I leaving or am I staying? And if you're staying, what am I doing? You know, complaining at a braai and all that stuff. So I do believe that we need to reclaim our power.
Sure.
I do believe that we are the people. You know, we are the people. And whether business joins hands or whether civil society joins hands, I think it's going to get to a time where we redirect and reposition and carry on with the vision of what this country is and can be. Traveling around the world, I wouldn't want to be anywhere except here, just as a business person. Just the opportunities that are here.
So what about like the difference between the way you grew up and the way that your kids are growing up? Because this is something that we laughed a lot about in your office the other day.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, a lot of black parents especially, are going through this thing where if they've done well, or if they are succeeding, or if they are making a very different life for themselves that their parents gave them, and they're giving their children that life, there's a lot of different emotion associated with that. There's first of all a little bit of guilt. There's a little bit of like belonging. There's a language and culture thing that comes into it. And as parents, this is a tough area to be playing in, because you're suddenly going to make decisions about your kids and the way that they're growing up compared to the way that you grew up, that informed you about the kind of things that you're doing as a successful person now. And there's a lot to think about here. And people don't talk about this often enough because it's almost like it's too sensitive.
We're just trying to find a balance, man. We're just trying to find a balance. As somebody that's actually currently experiencing that, that is the toughest thing. It's you have to one day, are we not speaking enough vernac with our children? Whereas we're speaking vernac every day. We're speaking English rather every single day in the workplace. When I get home, that's all my child is speaking. And growing up, it was the opposite. It's to what Gareth is saying. It's a lot of, back and forth, a tug and pull. But at the end of the day, it's just like it's who you are. It's how are we balancing our children being their true selves in a world that is constantly evolving, especially in the African context.
Yeah.
I think it just starts from honesty. I think as you grow your kids, they need to know that they are growing up in privilege.
Definitely.
And this is not normal.
Sure.
So that's the first base.
Sure.
It's not normal to live like this, and expose them of how other people and other South Africans live. And that's why I still go to the township for church. I can go to any church anyway.
Yeah.
But you need to expose, because I think we think as parents we are protecting our kids from I don't know what, but the reality of it is that we are not growing the awareness of where they are living. They're just living in that Santon cocoon. So they need to start there. And I think we need to be aware of, like, if I grew up, I don't know, not having toys, and now my son has got a playroom full of toys.
Sure.
I need to introspect and saying, why am I doing that? What am I
you're overcompensating?
What am I compensating for?
Yes.
And that's so it's both from our perspective. And if you need to go to therapy for this, it's good. What was I lacking, and what do I want? Now, good education is good education. You need to give your kids a good education, but you need to also teach them what this family stands for.
Sure.
What do we stand for? And I don't think it's necessarily a language thing per se only. It's this is what we do in this family. This is what we don't do in this family.
Our beliefs.
This is our beliefs, and this is how we help others.
Yes.
And this is how we toughen up. Like a friend of mine was laughing, and the way I speak to my kid is 2.5. But even just the consequences of certain actions, I'm trying to get him to do horse riding. And then the one day he says,
I'm just thinking of that Chris Rock special where he goes on about, my kids are horse riding, my kids are doing archery, my kids are singing opera. That's amazing.
There's something that I probably won't be able to recite it. I don't know which comedian it was. He says, really, when I thought I was successful, I come in my fancy suit and my kid runs up to me with all this chicken on his face. And I'm like, no. Don't hug me with all that chicken grease. He's like, no, Dad, it's not chicken grease, it's duck. So for me, you need to know, but you also need as a parent to still be aware of how you've changed because of your
100%.
success,
Yeah.
because you don't want to pass that on.
Yeah.
You know what your values are, and that's why being close to family, be the grandparents. Trust me, they are the key.
Hugely
because
important.
they call you out, they call the kid out, and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
for me, it's just look. Ultimately, it's very difficult, and it's a very fine line because you want the best, but sometimes the best can be spoiling your kid.
Exactly.
But it's just having people around you that know you well enough to say, you know, I love buying clothes for my son, but it's my mom that just says he'll probably never ever wear that because by next week
it won't fit.
You know, I gotta tell you something. This is not just a black South African thing. I mean, I see my brother and his two kids, and I see him buying them all the shit he wanted when he was a child. And I think this is not the best way to go, because now, I mean, when it comes to me having to try and buy these little fuckers a birthday present,
there's nothing to buy.
I can't get them anything because they got everything already, right?
Exactly.
I'm like, this is not good. This is not how it should be going.
I bought a pair. It's like a pair of sneakers when I was overseas for one of my cousins, and I don't know the names, but let's for example, there's a P30. So I buy the P30, and I'm like, yeah, this is lovely. Like, yeah, great, thank you, Malume. But you know that there's a P43 now.
Last time.
I'm walking away from this conversation, but it's also just teaching your kids teaching your kids gratitude. It's just the basic things. And that's why for me, I mean, my business has grown enough, and that's what I was saying in the conversation, that I can't have that time because this dual guilt. Luckily for me, at my age and the growth of my company and the management and the senior management, I am less busier. So I can go pick up my kid at school. I can have time with them because there's double guilt. You are so busy, you can't impart any knowledge. So you just, what techies do you want? Do you want to go to the mall or time? So now you've got guilt because you don't have time and you can't impart knowledge and you have to work for this family. So you almost start just putting finances as that stopgap for your value. So it's a very, very difficult one. And I think it's a conversation that we all need to have, black, white, because as we grow, we also grow. Our interests also grow, and we need to check ourselves where we are to what we are teaching our kids.
And what's the other guilt? You said is dual guilt. So it's the one of like if I.
Well, it's I don't think maybe guilt, but it's that thing that we're talking about, to say I didn't have it, so my kid must have it. You know, so it's almost satisfying that need to say.
Yeah, I mean, so Carl says here in the comments, and this is something I want to hear from you, Veli, about. He says, I feel like part of the reason I'm successful is that I grew up poor-ish, he says. I'm so scared my kids are going to be failures because they're growing up soft. I mean, that's another thing a lot of people are worried about, you know.
And you see it. I mean, you see it. I mean, I live in different communities and circles, and you can see that this kid had everything on a silver platter. And there was no drive. And that's why, for me, exposure to poorish environments, I play around with my kid, right? So whenever I'm walking, I'll just push him a bit. You know, so that he's always
stay away.
But I think for me is awareness of society. You will be surprised how people are so ignorant. And I'm not saying you know, going to the township is a case study in poverty.
No, because there's a lot of people who do that stuff.
Which is bad. But if it's real, expose people. Luckily for us, we still have aunts. Expose them to the cousins. Don't hide away from the cousins. Make your kids share. Make your kids go to orphanages. They must see you sharing. They must see you giving. They must see you giving your time. You know, let's go help Uncle what? We are going this. So that you create a culture, because if you keep them in that luxury rich bubble, trust me, the private schools will destroy them.
No, they
the
will
community will destroy them.
Quickly.
You know, and stop them claiming that your shit is theirs. So
oh
when
my
they
gosh,
say daddy's
I'm triggered.
when they say my house, you say it is not
that's
your
not
house,
your house, it's
because you
daddy's
don't
house.
pay anything. You live here until you can afford your own house.
Sure.
My dad drives this. It's none of your business. It's none of your
Sure,
friends' business.
sure.
You know, you don't drive anything.
Sure.
So all those, we just get a lift in my car. So all those real.
No, you have to be. You have to be that raw.
brutal.
You have to. Yeah.
So that they understand from a young age. You know, when saying, "Oh, can so and so come to my house? Sleep over at my house." I'm
Whose
like,
house?
yeah, maybe in 21 years when you have your own.
It's so triggering. My kids play this game in the car on the way to church. It's like car wars. Like pick the best car as we're driving. Shotgun the Porsche Cayenne. Shotgun the Jeep. What? And they always ignore like the start out cars.
Toyota Corolla.
The Toyota Corollas. And I get so frustrated. I'm like, guys, none of you own anything. And I hate that you're putting these luxurious things as like the stuff because it's ruining them.
But I mean, there's also like, you got to allow kids to fantasize.
But also, as to Veli's point, be realistic. This bubble that I'm better than those next to me. This balance is so key, Gareth. You have to take these kids to the real world.
And the real world of South Africa is that only the tiniest percentage of people are ever going to be in that kind of lifestyle. And a lot of these kids whose parents are hugely successful, it's not so much that they grow up soft, but it's because they don't have challenges themselves. And I think that when you grow up tough and you don't have anything thrown at you, you don't take money off of your parents, you don't get anything for free.
And you can be wealthy or have wealthy parents and still grow up with responsibility. I love. So my mom used to do a lot of stuff in sewing and stuff. So we used to go get materials. So I used to be inspired by the Indian community in Durban. You'll find a 9-year-old working at the shop. Knowing the material, advising you on the material, knowing the price. So when you're successful, also take your kids along in the journey of
100%.
What it took to get here. So that it just didn't just fall off. Tell them what it took to start Cliff Central, and because you've got your name on it, that's why we put our names in buildings. How did it take to have a building that size in Sandton? Where did we start? What sacrifices? What conditions? How for your mental health, as when they understand the type of stuff. What impact? What did you sacrifice? Because I think a lot of kids just think it happened. What did you do to get here? So I think it's very important to take them on the journey. And if you've got a business, take them to the business. My kid at 2.5, he is not aware of what's happening, but he knows dad's work. And when I open my computer, he knows. I mean, and not to judge anyone, I'm so sorry if anyone's kids do this. These kids that pop in when the team's meeting. I can't have that. My kid can sit down at 2.5 and just says, "Dad's working. Daddy's working." I say, when I'm working, I'm in a meeting. I'm going to come. You can sit on my lap. You can do this. But keep quiet because dad is working. So that work ethic, that work culture, even at a wealthy level. And again, I use the example of the shop owners in Durban. As a kid, I was like, I wish I was exposed to this because they know. I mean, by the time they get to accounting at school,
they finish with you. They've already done the practical in real life. I say this on my show all the time, that our kids aren't going to listen to what we say. They do what they see us do as their parents. So the sooner we start doing what we want our kids to do, the sooner we lead by actual example. That's the only time we're going to know that we're raising these kids that have our values, our family cultures, what we believe in is being passed down to them because we are already practicing that. There's no point in me sitting here saying, I want my kids to spend less time on their phones if I'm spending all of my time with my phone in my hand. My child is not hearing me. They are watching me. So who am I to sit here and do the opposite of what I'm saying? So I wish I could stand on a roof and say to all successful Black entrepreneurs, especially in this time in South Africa, please involve your children, because for them it just did land in your lap because we just seeing the results. We're just
Yeah.
seeing the big cars and the big house.
Yeah.
We don't know what you sold or what you struggled or how you got there.
Yeah.
Involve your children in every step of the way. It'll make such a big difference.
And in the simplest thing, just another example, a friend of mine was building a house, right? Now, it's none of the kids' business that
Sure.
he's building a house.
Sure.
They just need to move into a new house. But he was very intentional that whenever he goes on site,
Took
he
the kids.
took the kids.
Yeah.
And he involved them in even the design to say, your room is going to be here.
Yeah.
And what do you want here?
Yeah.
This is how we build. Even to say, this man is an architect,
Sure.
he costs a lot. This is what it happened.
I mean,
throughout the process
Most
until they
parents
moved in.
they just take their kids and then they say, "Oh, this is your new house."
Ta-da,
and
new
then they're
house.
moving out.
Yeah.
And they can't appreciate it.
Yeah.
But now those kids love the house because they were involved.
They were part of the
They
process.
would choose tires. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this one is expensive. Don't you think we should do this? Do it
Yeah.
to this. So for me, the simple answer to that question is just involve your kids in everything. Show them the hardship and
Yeah.
share with them the hardships of what's happening.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that we could come around to this point because there's a lot that you've said about business, about the country, about your own life, your children, all that sort of stuff, which is exactly what I wanted you to talk about this morning. It was more about getting to know you and kind of letting everybody else hear the stories that you started telling us the other day.
Yeah.
But it's a great pleasure to have you here, Veli. Really nice to meet you. Properly.
Really appreciate it, and it's a great honor. And keep on doing this. You know,
Yeah, it's good fun.
It's not mainstream. And I'm sure when you left, they thought you were crazy because I think as
Still
kids, we are raised to be institutionalized.
Sure.
Mhm.
And when you're part of an institution, you are okay. You know, and when you're not, and when you break away from the mold,
Something is
wrong with
Sure.
you. And weirdly, until you start buying stuff and they're like, it's kind of wrong, but at least now they've got new offices. And,
They're actually making
Yeah.
it
They're kinda-
still wrong though.
yeah.
I still don't know
it
that
kind of still looks good.
I still don't know that my family completely understand.
I'm sure some people thought you'd be like scruffy after,
like a homeless person.
bearded.
Life off the commercial radio.
Kind of still looks the same,
But
eh?
I'm sure there are people back home where you come from that still don't know what you're doing. It's weird to them. They're like, how can you do that for money?
Even family members.
Yeah, you have to
Same here.
explain.
Same here.
You know, even family members, and it's hard to explain because, as you're saying, it's getting more complex. And
Sure.
even to your questions, like what AI is doing
Oh
to
my
our
God.
industry
Yo,
is
Anna.
like a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah,
a whole another episode. So
yeah.
with such a dynamic and I mean, we own 8 agencies, so I have to tell you how PR works. I have to tell you how
Yeah.
Social media.
So
what
for
not?
me, I just say Kezari adverts.
Yeah. You see
There
that?
you
You
go.
see that
That's
advert
right,
on
yeah.
TV?
Make adverts. And
That's
some
me.
people
Gotcha.
don't even have, you know, like I had a creative, right? Sorry, last story. Sorry. So a creative, the mom, like after a while. So we have KFC, at Hope as a client. And then the mom, after a while, confronts him. Sandile, are you okay in Joburg? And the guy's like, yeah, I'm fine. And he's like, you say you're in advertising. And he's like, yeah, I'm in advertising. He's like, do you know that I've watched every single KFC ad? And I've never ever seen you. so come on with the truth here, bro. I can help. Come home, because clearly these lies aren't holding up, because I've made it a point that every time in KFC adverts,
I'm looking for
I'm
you.
looking for you there, like,
You're
and you're
not
not there.
I love it.
Denny, thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much
you.
for coming.
Thank you.
All right,
Sure.
everybody, we will be back tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. bright and early. Make sure you have an early start to your day. We've only got 4 of them this week. Got to get shit done.
Yep.
And we will see you.